What it do, what it do, what it do, what it do. It's your boy B. Damone in the house with Coach Gomez. And we are back at Level Up Productions. And this is episode 106, 6A underway. And I think the title says enough. The biggest schools are now fully underway.
Largest enrollment.
I
just had to stop you there.
The largest enrollment.
We had this discussion last week.
Yeah. The schools with the largest enrollment are now all underway. And man, there have been some, for the opening week, it's been some awesome games, some scores that really weren't foreseen.
Nope.
Or, you know, it's a new season is a best way to put it, you know, and every new season you got to remember there's changes and things that happen. Names and squads change every year. You got your seniors leaving. What schools are going to maintain that notoriety, are going to keep that prestige? And it's not all lost in one game, but it's a different season for everybody, especially given the environment of COVID and the situation that all sports, all football sports are put in. You see it at the college levels.
Yeah.
OU sucks. You just look at what's going on across the country when it comes to football, and those schools that are able to acclimate the best are the ones that are probably going to perform the best. And I was talking to somebody at a game last night, and I mentioned a school that you're close to, and I had to give some props because some of the stuff that I was seeing is like, well, I know what school is probably not going to have that issue, and so I had to give some props.
Awesome.
But yeah, so let's get this show underway. We have got some scholarship offers to talk about. We've got some district standings. And before we even talk about the district standings, when we get to it, there's been some changes to a district given the COVID situation. So we're going to talk about that when we get to it. But we'll get more in depth on that once we get to that situation. So let's jump into the scholarships.
Let's do it.
All right, as you can see on the graphics, we got to shout out one wide receiver from Harlan, Dre Spriggs, with an offer from Tulane.
Yeah.
Tulane University. And I think he's definitely going to be a name you're going to start seeing stuff stockpiling on him. If he has the type of season that I believe he can in that offense, then this is going to be a name that you're going to just constantly hear.
Yeah, and regardless of what type of season he has, he could even have an average season, but with that body frame and that athleticism, he still is high stock,
Exactly.
He also is a basketball player. He got good movement, great hands. The guy will go and catch the ball at the highest point. I've seen him make some amazing catches throughout the summer during 7-on-7, and dude's a dude.
Exactly.
Real dude.
Exactly. So congratulations, Dre Spriggs, on that Tulane offer. Next, we got Brennan Daniel Ortiz with an offer from Southeast Oklahoma University. Congratulations to that. Love seeing the guys in the trenches get their love and respect. So he's one of the best in the city. So Daniel Ortiz, congratulations on that on that offer. Next up, we got two players, same school from the same college, received an offer. And it's funny because you can kind of see waves when schools hit certain states, and then you start seeing these kids get the same offers. So shout out Donnie Moody and Nathaniel Pryor from Judson. Both received offers from New Mexico State University, the Aggies. So congrats to that, man. And it seemed like they were all through Texas, because I saw like 5 or 6 kids from other parts of the state all get offers from there. So I guess it was their time to push and get these Texas kids their offers in. One thing I want to say to all kids is those offers are going to come. Make sure you're focused on your grades, because a lot of times, whether you like it or not, given the situation, is going to be there maybe up until next year. Whatever the situation is with football, they just want to see that film. They just want to see that tape. Like, okay, we've been talking to you. You got your edit made. We know who you are. There's just a couple of things that you've got to check off that we want to make sure before we give you that offer. So keep grinding, but don't be discouraged. Stay focused on your school books, because, that could be a separation point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. All day.
Your attitude and grades will get you a lot further than your skills will.
Yep.
Because nobody wants to deal with a knucklehead, even if the production's nice. If you mess up the locker room, why do they want you?
Yeah.
So make sure you keep your head on straight, and keep those grades up, and make sure you keep a good attitude, and just be patient. Just be patient. Those offers are coming. So now we are going to switch gears, and we will be right back with what we saw this weekend.
Yep.
All right. What it do? We are back, B. Damone and Coach Gomez, and we are going to get into the opening week of 6A football now and talk about some scores. Now, Thursday night, I attended the Stevens versus Holmes game.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, Stevens was our upset pick.
Yeah.
Stevens was our upset pick. If there was any school that was going to mess up our 1 through 4 who makes the playoffs for their district, it was going to be Stevens. And that was one of the reasons why I had to get out and see the game. They have Leonard Adams and Quincy Davis, who I wanted to get out there and see. And Holmes has a lineman, Rufus To'o, who is a good-looking football player who's actually committed to Houston Baptist. So I wanted to get out there and see them. Got to talk to the coaches before the game, and there was a lot of changes going on, especially on the home side. They had a lot of guys who last year had to step into the fire, and then this year it's like, okay, they're a little bit more acclimated, is what Coach Morales was telling me. And so he was wanting to see what his boys had. Overall, that game turned out to be 42-20. Stevens won, but from the look of it, there's still got to be a little bit more growing on the home side of the ball. Stevens jumped out to a quick 21-0 lead in the first quarter, and the aesthetics of the game weren't the best, but I'll tell you this: Quincy Davis, number 40. And all the running backs at Stevens run with an attitude, and I liked seeing that. It was kind of like the whole team has that feel of ready to prove.
Yeah.
And Bashir, their quarterback, I think he's more athlete than he has the arm, but as long as you can balance that out, then we've seen plenty quarterbacks who might not have the greatest accuracy or the greatest arm, but if that coaching staff can put something together with that system, then it doesn't even matter, because you can still have a successful football team.
Yeah.
So it was good to see that they had a fire and a fight in them, and that was awesome. And he ran for a what was it, like a 76-yard touchdown. And Holmes' quarterback did as well. He ran for like a 64-yard touchdown, and they both looked nice. But it was just that Stevens was the better of the two schools, and they came out in that first quarter, and they made that known.
Yeah.
From the jump. So shout out to Quincy Davis. Leonard Adams wasn't tested. And when he was tested, I thought he could have had a couple of picks, but I'm looking forward to seeing him, because we know his skill level, and and I'm looking forward to seeing him versus some other schools. So Stevens starts off their district run 1-0.
Yeah. How did he play against the run? Leonard.
Really, he wasn't in a position to be around those plays. It wasn't.
Holmes never really got to the edge.
Twice, and he did make a really good tackle in which the running back was about to break out, and then boom, Leonard stepped up, broke off his guy. His guy was trying to block him, and boom, he shot in. I think the guy got like a 2 or 3 yard gain.
That's good.
So yeah, that was because
he's an aggressive kid.
Yeah.
He has great frame, length,
almost
speed.
6'2". Honestly, I guess with the cleats and the helmet, he looked even taller than from the times that we've seen him without.
Yeah.
But the first time I saw him from far away, I thought he was an entirely different player. I was like, man, he's tall and he's got some good size. But then I was like, oh no, that's Leonard. And I was like, dang.
He grew over the summer.
Yeah, exactly. From sophomore to junior year, so that was really good to see him, and he didn't lose any of that physicality because sometimes look like Tarzan, play like Jane.
Yeah.
So shout out to Stevens and congratulations on starting off 1-0, and y'all are on your way to be in that squad that might mess up. Yeah, that sleeper pick. Sleeper pick. So let's move on to last night. And man, I was at the Holy Cross Antonian game, and you were at the
Central Catholic San Antonio Christian.
Right. So I'll talk about my game first. So I was there, of course, Jordan battles at Holy Cross to see how he does against Antonia. And how do you say, Antonian has a good squad, a decent squad. I like their quarterback, Zach Schwalen. He had a good game. When there is a concerted team effort against a single player, you can definitely tell, and that's what the entire defense's objective was to stop Jordan Battles. He didn't have much on the ground. I've got some clips that I'm gonna be putting out, but he was able to get it through the air. I don't have his official rushing stats. I'd have to say it was somewhere between 50 to 70 yards, maybe. But through the air, over 300 yards. And I got the feel that, I saw it. The fact that the D line would rush and the linebackers would drop back, and they were in like they were in a 4-3-4 setting, and now the second Jordan would drop back, line rushes in, linebackers sit back. Now, whichever side he gets pressured to, you had two linebackers, one taking away the edge and one taking away the inside. So no matter where he's going, you got somebody in his face. So it was a lot of times when he would have to be rolling out and make throws on the run and have these throws on the sidelines. And I know he's been at Brandeis the past couple of years, but I tell you, when he puts it on the line, if there were a couple of more catches made, because they had some drops, but he was putting that ball on the money, and it was about 4 catches that should have been made that might have changed the outcome of the score.
Momentum.
Yeah, because it was just like, man, it's on a dart. It's on a dart, and it was hitting him in the chest and in the hands. So it's like, you got to make those plays.
Yeah.
So it's just players getting better. But
we knew back then. I mean, when you saw us when we were doing practicing with Schwalen and Silas and Gomez, they had some receivers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We would do our whole little COVID practice, and
Yeah.
we showed up a couple of times, and I knew Schwalen was going to get something going. The kid's been waiting 3 years for this
Mhm.
moment. He, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but him and Jordan were actually teammates when they were younger back in Popcorn at Holy Cross, and Sean coached both of them. So Schwaden's been around the game. He even back then he played a little bit of a line and quarterback back in middle school and stuff like that. So that kid, he's been waiting for this moment,
Mhm.
and it's time to shine. You know what I mean? So it's not surprising. It may be surprising some other people's, but no, Zach's worked really hard.
And he definitely took advantage of it. The final score of that game was 41-14 Antonian. In the second half is when they really separated. It was the heartbreaker to me was right before halftime, them getting it up to 28-14, because it was kind of like all that momentum swung back over to their side, and it was like less than 2 minutes in the game, and they went down and drove and scored.
It was like 35-14 at the time, because that's when I saw it, and I was like, oh my God, what's going on over there?
Yeah.
And I was eager to talk to you, but I didn't get a chance to, because I was like, man, what happened to Battles? Like, did they corral them and hold them in check? What happened?
They had a lot of big plays, but not a lot of consistency on offense. Gotcha. on the Holy Cross side, and it was mainly with his arm. But of course, they have a couple of injuries. They should be getting their running back in a couple of weeks, maybe next week.
Roster numbers play an issue, you think? Did Antonio sub in a lot more people than Holy Cross had?
It was there was a disparity there.
There was.
Definitely. But I mean, I will say this: Antonian secondary, you've got to tighten up, and you've got to put your helmet in there on these plays. It's good to have an offense that can do that, and yes, by this score, you would say that this game was well in hand. But there was some. If it weren't for those drops, there's people in their secondary that you can pick on.
Yeah.
So that's got to be addressed. And I mean, you've got to take up that challenge in the secondary to be that guy, to be the difference.
Yeah.
Because when I put out clips and I put out things like that, you'd be like, ooh, like this kid made this move. But then when you start looking at the effort, that stuff is out there in highlights too.
Yeah.
And then you have other schools who come up and play you, and it's like, oh, well, if this person did this to you, then I can do this to you.
Yeah.
And you don't want that as a defensive back, especially if you're already in that situation and you don't have a chance to work on it and to develop yet.
Yeah.
And so just be careful with that. Be careful. That Antonian secondary, be careful. Be very careful, because even though you stopped him on the run with the scheme, still having somebody throw over 300 yards, high school level, whatever, but that's still a big number.
Yeah,
it's still a big number, and that lets you know that something can be done with you in this area of playing the game. So
I agree.
Congratulations to Antonian on getting that. And their running back, number 21, was really nice, running in between the tackles. And I could not find his name, so tag him, and I'm gonna put clips up. I'll probably hit Zach up and get his name, because he was running really nice. And at key points of games in that fourth quarter, when they just handed the ball off, he was able to get 6-7 yards a pop.
Eat out the clock.
Yeah. So
nice.
Let's talk about your game. What did you see out there?
Central Catholic and Sachs was good, man. It started off, in the first quarter 7-7. I think both teams were trying to settle in. Once they got things going, Central Catholic started rolling. They had Silas, Michael Mayhew, Garrett Davidsmeyer, and Aiden O'Connor leading the way on the offensive side of the ball, along with that big offensive line that they got. Defensively,
what do you think they average on their O-line?
Their O-line, they got two of them over 6, for sure over 6'3". Then we got another one that's about 5'11", 5'10", but pretty decent guys, man.
Yeah.
Pretty big, and they're young. They only got one senior, which is the center.
Nice.
They're young. Defensively, I feel the same way you feel about Antonians. We play the run pretty decent. we got to tighten up that the DB group.
Mm-hmm.
You know, got to be able to stop the pass. Shouts out to sacks. They had this one guy, number 1, Shea Allen, a running back. Kid is quick, man. Kid is quick. He was giving Central hell all night. And if it wasn't for some drop passes as well on the San Antonio Christian side, that quarterback was putting that ball in there, and some of them boys was just dropping them. But if they would have made some of those catches, it would have led to a first down. They probably could have continued on some drives.
Exactly.
And Central Catholic dodged some bullets right there. But overall, it was a great game, great atmosphere. The weather was great. COVID protocols were taken great. I mean, everything was good.
The
man.
weather was awesome.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, man. Shouts out to both teams. They both played hard, and I look forward to see what next week brings up out in Houston when I go cover that one.
Nice. So, how did Garrettsmeyer do? I mean,
Davidsmeyer.
Davidsmeyer
Ran the ball hard, man. He ended up with, I believe, 2 TDs. Michael had 2 TDs. Silas threw for 1 to Aiden. Silas had some crucial fourth downs that they Coach Santiago trusted the group and went for it on 4th down, and they executed, and they came away with getting the first down.
Good.
Advancing the ball. So shouts out to that group, man.
And what was the final score on that one?
42-20 or something like that.
Okay. So it was well in hand.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to be going over some area scores and just give some quick insight or thoughts on the score. So let me pull this up. In the San Antonio area, 6A schools, 5A schools, I'm going over this. Over the Friday night games, because if you don't know, this is Saturday morning. You will get this 9 a.m. Sunday morning. Okay? So we're reporting from Friday night. First off, shout out Southside. They beat Rockport Fulton 14-7. And this was a game that, when we went out to go check out Southside, that Coach Locke had talked about.
Yes, he did.
This was Rockport's 4th game and Southside's 1st game. And like I've said with every other school, you've got to use the fact that you've been out there on the field already to your advantage. So if you want to wear that team out that's finally getting to hit somebody that's not their teammate, there's a difference. I mean, I know you go hard in practice, but there's something different about being in the game.
Yeah.
So the fact that Southside was able to pull that out, especially with Rockport Fulton having a big win over Corpus Christi Miller at that time, is huge. So the fact that they came together, Caleb Camarillo hit me up and was excited about the win. So it's good to see Southside be able to take out a team like Rockport, because now,
they just knocked off Miller not too long ago.
Exactly.
So that says a lot.
Exactly. Wins by proxy. So Southside can beat Miller.
Yeah.
So all right, let's get another score. Smithson Valley Madison 31-6. Now, this was one of the schools. This is another district that we talked about, and this district is gonna be
playoff atmosphere every weekend.
Yes.
You better bring your A game.
Yeah. So Madison wins 31-6.
Smithson Valley.
I'm sorry. Smithson Valley won 31-6.
We wish Madison won. Shouts out to my boy at Madison, man. Y'all bounce back and take care of business next week.
Right. Smithson Valley both started new quarterbacks. I'm going to have to go back and look at the film, because honestly, just going off the score and some mild feedback, I can't make a big claim as to how it happened or what happened. But I mean, from what it looks like, Smithson Valley,
they ran the ball really well. That's what they did last night. Smithson Valley, I talked to a couple of people, and they ran the ball really well last night.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I mean, you use that O-line and take advantage of it. Now the game, Judson versus DeSoto. This is 2 legacy schools in 2 cities that hold some weight. DeSoto's coming back around. Judson's been around.
Yeah.
And You have Judson with a lot of turnover on their squad, and you have DeSoto has like a renewed, rekindled hype. Whoever's advertising for DeSoto is incredible. And whatever, I know they have they got a lot of D1 talent on that squad. I can't think of a play that I saw that wasn't by a player who's committed to a Division I school. And they handled up with Judson last night, 37-0.
Yeah.
You know, I look forward to getting in contact with those players and seeing exactly how they're going to grow from it. Because like when you have those scores, you know, there's some things that you're working on. And there were some names mentioned in that game that I have never even heard of. So I look forward to learning about this Judson squad and seeing exactly where it is.
Yeah. I was just surprised overall. I figured they would at least put up some points on the board, especially with having DeAnthony Lewis back there in the backfield.
Exactly.
And then you got, you know, your big offensive line.
Exactly.
So it's like, man, were they that much more powerful than you in the trenches that they were able to control
could it
the
be
game?
a situation and that's what they just took away?
Probably that could be a situation. They took away the run. They controlled the line of scrimmage, and their linebackers probably held everybody in check. How many first downs did Judson have? I wonder what.
Right. Yeah. So we're gonna have to go back and, you know, do our homework because these games did just happen last night. Let's see.
Yeah, but
this is a score that I know we haven't talked about yet, but when I looked at it, you're the person I thought of. Comfort beating Hondo.
Yes, I saw some of the highlights, man. Comfort's on a roll. I'm telling you, that's a machine. That's
Comfort
a machine over there.
Hondo 34-20.
Yes.
And I'm a fan.
I'm a fan of Comfort, man.
I'm a fan. Like seeing how they did that, like to Marion, and then talking with you about it, and then talking to the player. But it was relentless the entire game. So they got something over there. And that was a battle of two 5-0 schools.
Yes, sir. I saw that, and I went and looked up some highlights last night.
Okay.
Researched some stuff, and I saw that Comfort was on the ball, man.
Nice. And the team that they played when we did go, Marion beat Lytle 27-7.
You know which one surprised me?
Which one?
MacArthur Bernie champion, 55-0.
That surprised you?
Yeah, it did. I figured MacArthur would come up with at least put 24 on the board. Something.
Bernie Champion had a really good run last year.
They did, but MacArthur also has some pretty good backfield on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
They got at least 3 guys that should be able to do something. Their linemen, I mean, come on, man.
Well, maybe I didn't see 55-0, but I really wasn't expecting them to go in there and get that.
No,
W.
I wasn't expecting to get a big deal, but I was expecting a close game.
True. Closer game than that, definitely.
Yeah.
Last 2 games we're going to shout out real quick before getting to our next segment. Shout out to Taft and Warren. That's Warren's one of those schools that last year was involved with John Jay and Stevens in the round robin of who's going to be that last team to make the playoffs. So I am keeping very close contact of those 3 squads in that district. And the fact that they were in that close of a battle with Taft, I need to see Taft's coming up. I know they got Malvern at their QB position, one of Yale's guys. So
you got your cousin playing defensive end out there.
Yeah.
Hey, how about East Central Roosevelt? Roosevelt pulled out that
27-20
victory right there.
That was the one. And I hit up Sermons last night. He was very modest, you know, which I like seeing because when I saw his highlights, he had a 96-yard touchdown run and a 64-yard. Finished with 174 yards rushing, and then Dwayne Coleman finishes with like 120 yards rushing. So shout out Roosevelt, Coach Carroll out there. They had some huge shoes to fill with Owens leaving, and that's something.
And Smothers.
Yes.
Jaden Smothers. Man.
Yes, Smothers leaving too, and man, so seeing that score, I'm not happy East Central lost. I have family ties to East Central, but I was hyped to see,
the Velt get back on it.
exactly.
Right?
I have more family ties at Roosevelt than East Central, so yeah. So
now you're picking sides, Brandon.
So when I see my family, they can be like, "Oh, so
you're picking sides now." Right.
But so shout out both schools. Shout out both schools. But I was glad to see Sermons get himself asserted in there. A 96-yard run is the longest of the season that has been reported for San Antonio high school football with running backs right now. So, yeah, congrats on that W.
How about Cole and Randolph? Man, Randolph put it on sacks last week, then come back put it on Cole this week. That was the battle of the bases.
2 shutouts.
Yeah.
2 shutouts back to back.
Yeah. We may gotta go see Randolph.
Might have to go see them versus Tony Green squad if they're playing.
We'll go see that
Young Men's Leadership Academy over there. So yeah, so we got some stuff. We got some stuff to look forward to. Game schedules for us are still week by week. You will be in Houston. I'll be at I believe Southside versus Comfort. No, sorry. Southside versus Somerset, I believe. I'll be at that one. And that's what I know right now because I got to get these schedules finalized because stuff is week by week now.
Yeah.
And media, make sure Northside is being very strict, but they're being very fair. Monday and Tuesday, you need to get your request in for a Friday game. For Saturday games, get them in by Wednesday. Because if it's not 48 hours from the day of the game, not the hour of kickoff, from the day of the game, then your request is not going to be seen or even acknowledged. So Monday and Tuesday are the days that we as media need to get these requests in for the game if we're trying to cover them. All right, so let's move on to our next segment. We will be right back. Thank you. What it do is be Damone and Coach Gomez, and we are back. This is episode 106 of Along the Wire, 6A underway. But we're going to get into a little bit of 5A talk. And this district is a little bit different. And before we get into that, I want to get into rankings, period. Now, I'm trying something this year. As we've seen, people have done a lot of preseason predictions on squads, and we've seen schools left out, and we've seen schools that are higher and some on others' lists. Everybody has a different looking list right now. Some lists merge 6A and 5A.
Unless Brandon's sitting next to you.
Some lists mix 6A and 5A, which I did last year. Which I'm not sure if I'm gonna do that this year. I may, but when I think of city, I think of city
as a whole.
Yeah. So but then I gotta think about. But see, I still had Cornerstone in my stuff last year too. So anyway, what I'm saying is I didn't do a preseason ranking this year solely for the fact that I wanted to test it myself, as well as a player's preseason list I didn't do either.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see.
Well, everything was just so staggered this year, man.
Yeah, it was.
Makes it tough.
It was staggered, which is why we're doing this right now.
You're trying to be fair across the table. That's
exactly. So I didn't do a preseason team ranking solely for the fact that it seems like people get it wrong.
Yeah.
And you see a team that could be number 2 or 3 and they lose in the first week and all of a sudden they just drop to 7. But then there might be a school who had a more impressive win and it's like, oh, well, they got such and such on their roster. Like, no, like what happened on the field?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going with is what I've see and research and get after teams have played. I'm testing this out. I've always thought about it. Now I have a chance to test it out. So when I release a top 10 next week, it'll be after everybody's played. And this is what the first week's results are. Not based off of something that I already was guessing about, because that's all it is a guess. It's an educated guess when you're doing any preseason anything. because you haven't seen it. So, I mean, I could have the list and squads and all this stuff, but if you haven't seen them on the field, then what is it? Because obviously everybody would have Judson number one, right? But is that the case? It's not. So that's what I'm going off of. I'm just, when you have a chance to actually do something of your own, do it. So that's what it is with the ranking system. So now we're going into our 5A, SAISD. Now, the difference in this is the fact that there's so much movement within this district and ideas going on that we selected 4 schools, but their district is broken down into divisions. Now, exactly how those divisions go, we aren't 100% sure. We've been trying to get intel on it and see exactly how the layout is. As of right now, the schools are split up and they're playing 4 games each. And our understanding is the top 2 teams from each division are making the playoffs. And then whatever happens between those 4 teams is up in the air. So as of right now, what's today, October 3rd? That's what we know and what we're going off of. Now, what those actual divisions are, we might end up picking 3 schools from one division. So we just went at it as these are just the top 4 schools that we are picking. Yeah. Okay, so if we have to go back and reverse and say, okay, now we understand what these divisions are, then we'll give y'all an update on that. Sound all right?
Sounds like a plan.
So we're going to go with the second best list of
drum roll, please.
We got Coach Gomez's list. What is your top 4 for SAISD in District 5A 13 D1?
Starting off at 4, I got Jefferson.
Okay.
I think with them coming back, led by the Cardenas brothers, the way they finished off last year was strong. And I think it'll complete over to this year. They got a lot of returners coming back. Should be a decent team. Number 3, I got Burbank. It's gonna be led by Jacob Carodi and Matthew Salazar. Matthew Salazar had a great season last year running the ball, real effective. You may see him in a lot of Wildcat as well.
Mm-hmm. Really, really nice film. I recall looking at his stuff and he runs behind his pads.
Yeah,
he runs behind his pads.
Yeah, he runs tough. And then number 2, I got Sam Houston.
Mm-hmm.
With the addition of that new head coach, what was his
name?
Stewart.
From Duncanville.
From Duncanville. I think him bringing that championship mentality and changing that program, I think that it's going to be a real exciting year for Sam Houston down there.
Mm-hmm.
And number 1, I got Brack. Brack has a lot of dudes out there that can contribute. Had a lot of them on my 7-on-7 team, so I know a lot of them have a lot of heart, a lot of skill. I look forward to seeing what they can do out there, Brack, especially with being a Coach Hall's last season. Yeah, I have a feeling that he's gonna put together a special season for these boys and for himself going out.
Right. Okay. All right. Now,
and my dark horse and the sleeper, Edison Golden Bears, baby. Edison Golden Bears. Class of 98, you know what I'm saying? Gotta represent, baby.
See, so once again, we've got the same schools. Different orders. And so I'm going to go with my sleeper first. My sleeper upset pick was Jeff. My number 4 squad is Edison. And honestly, I got to say that that's been swayed by the 7-on-7 and seeing Brandon out there and Ernie out there and them. And
Ernie goes to Brennan, though.
What?
Yeah, Ernie's a Brennan kid.
I thought he was Edison.
No. I wish.
What?
He would have helped out.
Maybe I thought that entire team was Edison and SAISD.
No. Ernie comes out of Brennan.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But Edison does have some young guys coming up, along with Brandon. You got this guy, Danny Pena, who's good. You got Onyx, who's good. You got a kid named Alexis, who's pretty good. I mean, they got some talent, class of 22 guys that are be contributing that didn't really play a lot last year. Very familiar with them kids because my son had went to school with some of them boys.
Okay.
So that's how I kind of know a lot of them kids.
Okay. So even with that said, I'm not changing off of Edison. I'm keeping Edison at number 4. 3, I got Brack. Like you said, with Coach Hall and some of the kids that I know who go to Brack, I gotta put them in there. And this is a district that I look forward into diving into because there's so much history within the city, period. Especially when you talk about Coach Hall and how long he's been a staple in San Antonio. Like,
man, Coach Hall's been around since I played against Coach Hall.
Right.
He was a head coach at Brack when I was at Edison.
Right.
So he's been there a long time, man, and he's put his soul into that program.
So at number 2, I got Burbank, and I look forward to seeing the effect of what Coach Barone left there. A lot like how when Coach Ritterman left Johnson, and you see how Johnson. Hold on, shout out Johnson. Shout out. I'm sorry. I know this is a different segment, but Johnson looks so impressive versus
Thursday night. Yes.
O'Connor. I know I'm gonna have to cut this segment up, but Ty and Shane look so in sync, and that running game looks so on time. Like, it was just like they just continued playing from last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. But
we could touch on it on our closing.
Right, exactly. Burbank at number 2, and I got Sam Houston at number 1. I feel like Sam's always had the athletes. I felt like they've needed that guidance, like you said, with Coach Stewart. There has to be a mentality and an expectation, and when the players actually know that it's tangible and they know that a coach is coming from a place that they played one of the best high school state football games ever. They didn't win it, but it took that play for them to win.
Yeah.
And when you have that coach coming down, it's like, okay, you start thinking, okay, so the district believes in us if they hired this coach, or the school believes in us if they hire this coach. It just breathes through and through, and then he already has connections to the school through his family.
He's already building. He put together a different locker room.
Yeah,
he's making changes
yeah.
already.
Yeah,
and I think that's what it is. Is those kids needed a coach that believed in them, and the coach that believes in those kids. And I think it goes hand in hand, like you said, because he has family ties there.
Right.
That I have a feeling it's going to work out. And like you said, I mean, Sam Houston's always had the athletes. I mean, we were talking about this last year. Yeah. They always had the athletes, but they just need that discipline. If they had that discipline, and like I said, the coach that believes in them, and the kids can see, because these kids go off of trust.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And if they can trust that coach, man, like I said, I think I've said
you can unlock a lot.
Yes, sir. It'll run through a brick wall for you, brother.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So
I'm excited to see what they do this season.
Exactly. And I look forward to seeing that locker room, because I mean, I saw that he put up some clips and they have multiple weight room areas. So I want to go and see what's going over there at Sam. So sleeper pick Jeff, number 4 Edison for me, Brackenridge, Burbank, and Sam. You have Edison as your sleeper, Jefferson at your 4, Burbank at your 3.
Burbank at 3, Sam at
2, and bracket 1.
Yeah.
So that is our 5A 13 D1 district predictions right now. And it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be some nice football. I think what you're gonna get is a lot of hungry football out of this district.
Yeah.
You might see people getting hit like so hard because this is a district that's having the least amount of games played in the city. And I think that aggression they're just going to take out on each other, and it can make for some great football games. You might see a lot closer scores just based off the emotions of it, or you might see some super blowouts, or it's just going to be.
This is all I got to say is they did a lot of ranting and raving, and we're only going to get so many games. We're only going to, well, you know what? Now your time is up, and go and show that you want to play ball.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Not to mention, your time is up now. Hopefully your grades are up to par as well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because that's inner city San Antonio right there, baby.
Yeah.
At its best.
Yeah.
So we gotta make sure that you're on top of your grades, that you don't just get 1 or 2 games in and then you end up flunking out because you weren't on top of them during this whole time because you didn't think you were going to have a football season, and all of a sudden it's upon you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It is underway.
Yep.
So make sure you got those grades to make the plays. Got to get the grades to make the plays. And we are going to be coming back. That was our segment on this district prediction. We will be right back to close out the show. Thank you. What it do? We are back and closing out this episode 106. We want to thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. I will be putting up more views clips. I haven't put any up in about a week and a half. So I'll be putting up more views. I have highlights from the games that I'll be putting out on Twitter as well. Make sure you like and subscribe and tell somebody about this channel. It's all about San Antonio High School football and making sure that these kids get exposure and making sure that they know how to deal with media and making sure that their grades are up, because we aren't going to be supporting and putting kids in people's faces and they can't help the schools.
True.
So make sure that you got your grades up, and that's what it is. Right now, I want to. We are closing out, but I want to give some respect, and this is twice that I've done this now, and I've been chatting back and forth with this player. But Ty Reasoner, when I made my top 20 list, top 30 list, he was at number 20, and I realized after looking at that podcast, at that show, that I just said his name and moved on. He's got his first 2 plays on his junior season are ridiculous. And is exactly why he's a top 10 player. And if you recall in the last segment, I got to give him his respect. He looks so on time. He never looks frantic or like the situation's too big for him. He's in total command of his offense. I think he's the most calm looking quarterback in the city. Like, he looks, when he's walking up to that line, like he knows where everybody's going to be at, what the play is, if he needs to check out of it. He just has a great aura about him, and his running backs were on point. Shane, that connection, like when I talked about them winning that district, I based it off of them, because there's just, and did Shane get bigger?
Yeah, he looked bigger.
God, dog. Like, I was like, this dude's 6'3", 220?
Yeah.
Something like that. Like, and still maintaining a good level of speed. And he hasn't committed in anywhere for football yet, but back to Ty. I think he is an incredible leader. Even with his running back, the one who went down last year. I always forget, he's at UTSA now.
Rodriguez.
Right?
Rodriguez?
Yes. That's a huge person to replace, because Rodriguez was a beast himself.
Oh yeah, he ran that ball hard.
Yes, and no drop off. And that was one that I was glad to see them play O'Connor and beat O'Connor, because I felt good about my pick. I felt good about my pick after that, because that was a good competitive game, but that was so much of a college or pro style feel, and how they just kept putting it on, and it wasn't like they were beating themselves at any point. You don't ever see him make any super risky throws.
Limited mistakes, and like you said, he had command of the offense, did what he had to do, didn't try to do extra.
Yeah.
But it was all on time and on point. Execution.
Exactly. Exactly. So respect to Ty Reasoner and respect to the Johnson Jaguars. Man, I just wanted to make sure that I got that in because
we missed it.
Yeah. It didn't even, and that was.
And Locke did good for O'Connor, that receiver boy.
Yeah.
Some great hands, good speed.
Made some crazy catch.
Yeah.
So, shout out to him. I know he's been putting in work. I've been in touch off and on with him throughout the off season, but he's been putting in work. And those guys who we see putting in work are going to be those names that you're starting to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just nothing replaces you putting in the work and the time in anything you do. You're going to see that. Yeah. You're going to see those names. It's not going to be the kids who are staying out late. Your God-given ability has to be honed. It has to be trained. So, yeah. Shout out Johnson. Shout out Ty Reasoner. And make sure, as we're closing out now, make sure we have the Along the Wire mask and we have Along the Wire Gator guards that are going to be made, and that's what I got to go over with you about. We're gonna have school color schemes, of course, and that's gonna be something because I can't wait till it comes out so I can start handing them out, and then we can get those orders in and get those orders out, and get more people in tune to the show and get more exposure for these kids. And that's what it's all about with us. So make sure you follow me on Twitter at @BDamone, at Instagram at @BDamone. Follow Coach Gomez at
STX7v7.
STX7v7 for Coach Gomez. And once again, shout out to Trey Wave for the music. Collision, what's up? I see you out there. I need my own grill. Tell Paul Wall what's up.
And
level up.
Take care of business tonight, Cannon. Don't let me down.
Oh, okay. You know what? Nah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna be at the Brandeis Harlan game, and man, I can't.
I'm excited, bro.
I'm excited. This is the game.
Just go ahead and close out like you're closing out. I was just giving my boy a shout out quick, bro.
Okay. Shout out Cannon. Shout out Aiden. Shout out Rainey. Shout out Dre. Man, it's going down. It's going down tonight.
Yeah.
It's going down tonight. Ferris Stadium.
Yes, sir.
Ferris Stadium, 7:00. If you ain't got your ticket, sorry. We're gonna be there. So, yeah, that is it. Love, peace, hair grease. Hook 'em. Birds up. 210. We're out.